Hello and welcome to Ward Talk, CTN's look at the political scene in Ann Arbor. I'm your host, Bonnie Gabowitz. We'll be discussing issues and solutions with the city council members from our 5 wards each month. And joining us today is Dharma Akmon from Ward 4.
Hi.
Dharma, nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me, how many years have you been on the council?
So I'm starting my 4th year, the last year of the current term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So we have a lot to go over in
We do.
this one session. So let's start with your ward, Ward 4.
Yeah.
And what's going on? You have an update on Pauline Boulevard?
Yeah. I feel like every year I come to do the update, it's some road-related update because roads are always being done. Pauline, as many folks might know, runs between wards 4 and 5. That was a major reconstruction project that just wrapped up in the fall. I think a lot of people were happy to see it open because it was quite disruptive, as all road reconstruction projects are. But that was to replace an aging water main, as well as to reconstruct the road to make it safer for pedestrians and cyclists, so creating more accessibility to other modes of transit, and also making it safe for everybody on the road. So if you drive down Pauline, you'll notice that there are raised crosswalks. That makes the people walking more visible. It also creates kind of a speed bump, so you're forced to drive the appropriate speeds for interacting with vulnerable users. And it's also one of our first major bikeways that connects our neighborhoods with our downtown. So that's a big project.
And I think the crosswalks and the bumps really make a difference. And
They
just
do.
reminding drivers and cyclists, to slow down.
Exactly.
It's a good visual as well.
Exactly, and that's it's right in the heart of a neighborhood. It's right by a park. There are a lot of kids. It's very important that we slow down on the roads. Yeah.
And in terms of the whole city now, and I know there's been a lot of street work. And I know they're just finishing up on, I just want to mention South Industrial. That was a long project. Were they replacing pipes as well as the pavement?
Yeah, there's an aging water main. It's being upsized, so I think it was 12 inches, now it's 14. So upgrading that will improve people's water pressure and also help with numerous breaks that were happening on the water main here. So pretty involved project.
Yeah, is that something the city is looking at in other areas where there might be more projects down the road?
Yeah, always. And so one of the things that comes up a lot when people ask about, when is my road getting done, is that the city really aims to combine the work. What we really don't want to do is resurface a street and then come back 3 years later, dig it up again, and replace the water main, and then do the road construction again. And so we pair those for economy and convenience sake. And so we're always looking for opportunities.
Plus, it's a very expensive job.
It is. It's expensive. It takes a long time. It's very disruptive, but it's also really important.
Yeah, okay. We've got a lot of big topics to talk about. Let's talk about affordable housing.
Yeah.
And I know every time I talk to someone on this show, there's always an update. There's always something a little new.
Yep.
So take it away.
Yeah, well, the first thing I'd like to say is that because people are always asking what is the city doing about affordable housing, and rightly so because we passed a millage, we're collecting tax dollars to build permanently affordable housing for people who are making 60% and below of the area median income. And I'm excited to say that as of now, we have created, acquired, or we are in the pipeline to build 1,200 new permanently affordable units. So that's great.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And not all at once. So this is a number of different projects. Some of this we have acquired housing that's already built and turned it into permanently affordable housing. We're poised to open the Dunbar Tower that's in Carytown by the Farmers Market shortly. And we're also set to start building a new development that's by the bus station downtown in the site of the former YMCA lot. So those are all projects that are being taken on by our Ann Arbor Housing Authority and will be permanently affordable. But what's new to report now is that Monday night, City Council passed a brownfield to help the Ann Arbor Community Land Trust, which I'm not sure if we've talked about before.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what brownfield refers to.
Yeah, so
Is that somebody's name?
No.
Oh.
So brownfield is a tool by the state, and it's used by a number of states to take what is considered property that would not otherwise be developable. So if you think about an old landfill that's been covered over, or a gas station, something that needs quite a bit of remediation in order to make it a developable piece of land. And so the idea is that you use tax incentives as a way to get it developed when it otherwise would not be. Now the state of Michigan passed new laws that allow it to be used to build affordable housing, and so I think that's what's being used in this.
Okay, so let me just back up.
Yeah.
So what the city can do with this depends on what the state allows you to do?
Yes, it is a state program.
So,
it's also
so with the
administered by the
limitations before that are now making it easier?
It expanded what the uses are. So before it did not include to develop affordable housing. Now it does. And so that's this new Town East program, this Ann Arbor Land Trust, which is separate from the city, I should say. So the Ann Arbor Community Land Trust is trying to build, I should call it maybe attainable housing would be a better term, so up to 90% of the area median income, whereas the city's program tops out at 60%. So you can think about, and they're also trying to create homes that people can buy instead of rent. And so the idea is to create deeply affordable homes. So think about a price point that's like $150,000 to $350,000.
That's a price I haven't heard of in a long time.
In a market where the average home price is $500,000. And they're doing this. I mean, the thing that City Council passed on Monday night allows them to use so when you redevelop a property, the idea is that you get increased tax revenue on top of what's already being captured currently.
And I didn't ask you to do homework, so I don't know if you can answer this. Do you know what percentage of our land is being lost to the university's purchase of the city land?
There are numbers out there. I don't know them offhand.
Yeah.
What I can say generally is it's definitely something that the city is always conscientious about. That impacts us a lot.
But is that even more reason why you're looking to build up and have more units on a lot of land to have more people living there and supporting the tax base?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look at, so just think about Ward 4. A big part of what's going on in the piece of Ward 4 that is closest to downtown is the university expansion there. We have 2 major dorms going. They moved L. Bell Field. So as you look at that area that's just off of Main Street, close to Madison, we're seeing a bunch of student housing going up. That's great. I'm very happy that the university is building more housing. They haven't done it in a long time. They've increased their enrollment every year. It's great.
I would think that would also increase the availability of rentals for other people who let's say, working in the city.
Yes.
That opens up more housing available.
Right. It increases, there's a both and. So the growth in enrollment creates an enormous pressure on our housing market. The university is responding. However, every time they take land off our tax roll, it has an impact. And, we, as a city, I think we can't bury our head in the sand. It's clear that we need to develop more densely close to our downtown. What happened in that neighborhood was the university bought a bunch of properties. They also told people that if they didn't want to sell, that they could do it by eminent domain. I mean, that's the reality of what we're dealing with, and the city doesn't have any levers to control what the university does, except to be proactive about allowing the land that is closest to our city center and closest to the university to allow it to be densely developed.
And the one area they can't touch, though, would be the buildings, the homes that have been designated as historical buildings. Do they have a protective measure?
I don't think so. I think the university can buy any piece of land that someone wants to sell. What the restrictions would be if the university did buy within that, I believe that they would have to follow the historic district, because I think that that's governed by the state.
And I just read, this is just a new thing, a plan to have what they call towny homes, which would be smaller units, 2 units together in one construction, that would offer a lower price, more affordability.
Yep.
So is that just in the beginning stages of coming up with a plan?
No, I mean, it's quite far. I would say none of them have been built yet, but that was the thing that I was talking about the city council passed on Monday night. And so that's a separate group from the city, but they need our help in order to make these affordable. And one of the ways they're doing that is through us passing this brownfield tax incentive. So what we're allowing them to do is use the taxes that they would pay the city to defray some of the construction costs to keep those houses affordable and permanently so.
And energy efficient, of course.
Yeah, they want to do that, yeah.
Okay. And in the minute we have left before the break, just to mention that there was a fire station that you're looking to work on Huron Parkway. There were plans, but there was a little setback now.
Yep.
So did it have to do with the construction of the building?
Yeah, so it's to be the first net zero firehouse. This is a big project. We want it to last a long time. And unfortunately, the contractor surveyed the land wrong and laid the foundation wrong. And so we're going to have them dig that back up and do it correctly so that the building lasts
so
a long time.
that's changes the time frame.
Yeah, I would say so. I don't know by how much, but we want to do it right.
Yeah, okay. Okay, when we go back, we have quite a few other topics to discuss, but I'm glad that we have more detailed information.
Yeah.
Because the housing is really such a big issue
It is.
for Ann Arbor, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We want to hear from you, so please email us questions to ctn@a2gov.org or tweet us at #CTN Ann Arbor. We're going to take a break now, and we'll be coming back with more from Ward Talk.
Are you looking to take your videos from boring to extraordinary? Well, with a little help from editing, you can get there. We'll teach you how to edit footage from our CTN laptops with professional programs like Final Cut Pro. Or we could give you some pointers on basic cell phone editing. If this looks like something you'd be interested in, contact CTN.
It's a roundabout. I always forget what to do.
If only we had a road wizard.
When approaching a roundabout, slow down and yield to the traffic in the roundabout. Once you have safely joined the roundabout flow, other travelers will yield to you like an eagle on the wind.
So roundabouts are safer?
Yes, that slows down traffic and reduces congestion. Be safe and remember to yield.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ann Arbor Mayor John Heftia, and I'm here with First Ward Council members Gene Robinson and Bob Johnson. And this is a program called Ward Talk, and it's an extrapolation.
Part of the fabric of Ann Arbor is local politics. In 2002, CTN dove into the topic by inviting council members from each ward to answer viewers' questions live on TV.
Hello, thank you for calling.
Yes, good evening, Mayor Heftia. This is Doug McAlpin, cashier for Republic Parking. And
Good evening. I'm Rachel Tiedke, and I invite you to join us for Ward Talk.
In the beginning, the mayor served as moderator, but this quickly was replaced by an impartial host. Over the years, the show has welcomed 3 hosts, with Bonnie Gabowitz at the helm since 2014.
From our 5 wards each month. Joining us,
One of the things that many of us are thinking about is what's going to happen to Lower Town.
Versus what was then Gilman Sciences, but is now Paul Gilman.
So this is going to involve doing some rezoning in the downtown.
Residents are very concerned about cars speeding through their neighborhoods.
People who've maybe never gone and looked at a blog before will
Over 180 episodes, the show has greeted countless council members and 2 long-serving mayors, with no sign of slowing down.
Several times, and last summer, as I said, I grew up here, and we have had skateboarders in this community from the very beginning.
It's a new millage, but it replaces the one that exists.
It's a heavily traveled area.
Yes, and it's actually, it'll be a 2-year program to actually do it. And
some of them 300, 400, 500 new units.
To work with Justice Indeed and to do this in their own neighborhood.
Not quite.
If that's an understatement, I don't know.
A little bit. Yeah.
And we're probably into the last few seconds, so we can let them take it away with the music. And thank you for if you watched us tonight.
This is Rachel Tiki saying thank you for viewing Ward Talk.
This is Community Television Network of Ann Arbor, City TV Channel 19. Thanks for watching.
For Ward Talk, I'm Bonnie Gabowitz. Until next month. Hi, I'm Bonnie Gabowitz, and we're back with Ward Talk and Dharma Akmon from Ward 4. But before I go back to you, I just want to mention to everybody that we have just passed the 200th segment of Ward Talk. We've been running for many years, and I just want to congratulate Rob Cross, our producer, and thank all the technicians who help every time we do a show. So, I'm just doing a little congratulations.
Great.
Okay, so let's get back to talking about clean energy, which is also a big topic for Ann Arbor.
Yep.
What's the update on that?
Well, there's always a lot going on, but I think probably the biggest and most interesting news is that the city received an $11 million grant from the Department of Energy.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money, yeah, to set up district geothermal in the Bryant neighborhood. So for folks that don't know about geothermal, this is a system, an efficient system used for heating and cooling homes. What they do is drill wells into the earth and use that moderate temperature that's always deep underground, about 40 degrees, to bring it up into the home into heat and cooling. Much more efficient than using gas, which is what most people in Michigan are using. The idea
Would that also include having solar panels, or is that a whole separate?
That's separate from this program.
So, yeah,
We're
okay.
doing that as well, but this is strictly for geothermal. Now, a lot of times what people are doing is they're doing geothermal individually. So they're having their own well drilled and it serves only their house for their heating and cooling. What we're doing in the Bryant neighborhood through this grant and a match of city funds is building it so that it is a system that serves something like 262 homes in this neighborhood, plus the elementary school, plus the community center would all be using this geothermal to heat and cool.
And why was this particular area chosen?
Yeah, this area is known as being one of the most socioeconomically diverse neighborhoods in our city, and so we have been putting a lot of money and effort into weatherizing, so making the homes as efficient as they can be, adding in solar. We want this to be Ann Arbor's first carbon neutral neighborhood.
And is there a time frame, an expiration date for when you use the funds?
Yeah, my understanding is that the plan is to have this completed by 2028.
Well, that's coming up soon.
It is, I know, right? It's going to be 2026 soon. So yeah, so it's very exciting to see, and I think it's a proof of concept. Much better than much better than doing this piecemeal, relying on somebody who wants to invest their own funds to install geothermal. It would be much better if we could build this at a utility scale, and so I think this is a proof of concept.
Great. And in terms of Vision Zero, let's talk about that because I think you have an update on that.
Yeah, I'm always happy to talk about transportation-related issues. It's one of the main reasons why I ran. The city has a commitment in its transportation plan that was adopted just 4 or 5 years ago called Vision Zero. And what that means is 0 deaths or serious injuries on our roads Our goal was to hit that by 2025. We are not going to make that goal. We've already had serious injuries and fatalities in this year. And in fact, unfortunately, our pedestrian injury rate has increased over the last couple of years coming out of COVID. So, you know, a lot of the work that I talked about earlier in this talk, and, you know, as people see roads being reconstructed, I think they're seeing a lot of different things. They're seeing these raised crosswalks, they're seeing speed tables, they're seeing us narrow the lanes, they're seeing curb bump outs. All of this is meant to restructure the built environment to avoid bad driver
and
behaviors.
change behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm wondering how can we change people's behavior? In other words, we have a usual law that says you can take a right on red. If you have a red light, you can take a right unless there's a sign that says you cannot.
Downtown.
Right?
Basically,
that's
it's
just downtown.
Yep.
All right. Is there any consideration of changing that where you cannot? I mean, the idea is to have traffic flowing, but some of these accidents occurred at those right-hand turn behaviors. So is the city looking at considering changing some of those allowances?
I think the main thing that we see is most of our crashes are a failure to yield. And that means that people aren't stopping when they're supposed to stop, whether that's at a crosswalk where someone has activated the flashing beacon, or it's at a traffic light. These are the places where people are most, you know, seem to be most in danger because people aren't stopping. And I think there are a number of avenues for addressing that. One of that is no right turn on red downtown, where we have the densest, you know, group of pedestrians walking. There are other solutions to that. Other communities have made great strides in implementing roundabouts. Roundabouts are really nice because they serve two purposes. They keep cars moving as they need to come through, but they keep them moving slowly at the conflict points. And, you know, we are building some roundabouts. I think Earhart is one where that's like the whole other side of the universe from Ward 4. But we have been implementing these in some places. I would love to see that as a solution. I think raised crosswalks. I think anything that forces people to slow down, and often that's the geometry of the road. You know, another thing is that where we're seeing the most crashes and the most serious crashes are on multi-lane corridors through our city. So if you think about someplace like Ann Arbor, Saline, I believe it has 2 lanes going in each direction plus a turn lane. Even where we have an enhanced crosswalk with the beacons that people press to activate, and I think those are really important. They mean that people can cross that would not have had a means to cross before. However, what it also means is a more complicated environment for the pedestrian and for cars. They can activate the beacon, a car in one lane can stop, another car in the other lane cannot see and come through. And so,
now, is someone on a bike considered a rider or a walker? In other words, what rules do they have to follow? Because I've seen people use, you know, take advantage of whatever they can do to be moving, and it could be acting as a rider or a pedestrian. So
I think the first thing to recognize is that people on bikes are vulnerable road users, just like people who are walking. So anybody who is outside of a car in this built environment is a much more vulnerable user to automobiles that are very heavy and possibly traveling too fast. In terms of the law, people on bikes are supposed to yield to pedestrians. They can ride on the sidewalk, but they must do so slowly, and they must do with care.
No, slow down.
Walking. Yeah.
You said they should not be riding on the sidewalk?
No, I said they can ride on the sidewalk.
Oh, they can.
But they have to yield to pedestrians, and they have to go slowly. So legally within Ann Arbor, they can be on the sidewalk. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's reflective of the fact that we don't have yet. I mean, our aim is to have a connected citywide network. Right now, we don't have that. So for example, when I ride my bike down Stadium, there are areas where I feel comfortable riding in the narrow bike lane, And there are places where it drops off, and quite frankly, I feel like I'm way too close to traffic that's traveling
more
too fast.
vulnerable.
Yeah, I get on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
That's not ideal because often sidewalks, butt up to driveways, and people aren't expecting to see people cycling there, so it presents its own risks. Yeah.
By the way, I want to make sure we mention that you have a program for snow shoveling for neighbors who might have difficulty doing it on their own. Let's just put a plug in for that.
Yeah, so that's the Snow Match program. I'm pretty sure if you just do a search for that in Ann Arbor, you can find it on the city's website. And what we're trying to do is match people who have a need for snow removal with volunteers who are willing to do that. And ideally, we're trying to match people up within the same neighborhood.
And people can go on your website
and sign up.
To sign up for it.
Whether to be a volunteer or to get volunteer
And have
services.
you gotten much of a response?
I don't know what the response has been. I mean, we've gotten some response. I think it's been a little bit difficult. Maybe not too many people want to take on the extra task of shoveling extra snow.
Okay, if people are in the giving spirit, that's something they can do.
Yeah, and something the city has looked at is doing municipal snow removal on sidewalks. The cost analysis that they did was quite expensive. We're not sure if we can find a service that actually wants to take on the work. But every year I hear from senior citizens, people who are in wheelchairs, and not having sidewalks cleared in a timely fashion really impacts people.
Right, right. Okay. And what else can you say about, in terms of the density, I know Ann Arbor is looking to build up and have more density. And the question that comes to me a lot from other people, is how do you accommodate so many more people where we have the same street designation? We don't have any room to expand our streets.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
Well, we're always looking at our infrastructure. I mean, one thing that I would say is that having more people to support your infrastructure rather than less is a good thing. So it is more efficient to pay for services, whether that's street, water, any of those services, when people are in a more compact situation. It's more efficient. That's why sprawl is so costly. So that's the first thing that I would say. And I also think that we have room to grow. So when we talk about density, we're not talking about downtown density every place. We're talking in many cases about light infill, things like allowing a duplex where currently there's only allowed a single family home. So that is not a vast increase in density. And it's also something that we're going to realize over a long length of time, not overnight by any means. One thing that I've definitely learned in my 3 years in this office is that these things just don't happen fast. They don't. We're not commanding things to get built. We're setting a policy environment in which things can happen. But there are a lot of things that have to come together in order for something to be built.
And I understand you have a 2-year budget plan. So where are we with the calendar on that?
Yeah, so we're coming up on another cycle to do the next 2 years, and that's coming up in the spring. Yeah, so I imagine we'll start talking about it soon.
And with the minute we have left, are you on any committees, commissions that you want to put a plug in for?
Yeah, I'm on the Transportation Commission.
I'm
Unsurprisingly.
not surprised.
I'm on the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is a really good one for understanding how our zoning laws come up against the things that we want to allow to happen. Those are the 2 main ones that I serve on. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
It's good to chat with you.
I look forward to seeing you again.
All right, thanks so much. And congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Remember to join us for a new episode every month. We want to hear from you, so please email us at ctn@a2gov.org. Attention, Ward Talk. You can also follow CTN and ask questions on Twitter at twitter.com/CTN Ann Arbor. We'll make sure to include your questions. To watch this and all of CTN's program, head online to youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor. For Ward Talk, I'm Bonnie Gabowitz. Until next month.